Hello and welcome to IT Energy World. I'm Sudhir and we are at the India Energy Week talking to a great industry leader from the energy industry, Mr. Vineet Mittal. He is, of course, the chairman of Avaada Group. Vineet, let me begin this conversation by trying to understand from you, first of all, what has been your experience at the India Energy Week this time? In what ways, what are your key takeaways from this entire event? Yeah.
India Energy Week is actually a great summit to understand policymaker, how the investors are thinking about India, what kind of companies are entering in India, what excites them. So, if you look, it's combination of there will be some World Gas Association, World Biogas Association, World Energy Association, World Economic Forum, to players like top oil companies, top gas companies from across the world to renewable energy company. So it's like a kind of kumbh of energy companies which is happening in Dwarka here. And what you get from every year when you interact, a lot of people talk many things on the TV and camera, but when you are having that informal chatter, you learn so much what's going to be the investment trend in next 2 to 3 years. And are they going to buy your green molecule? Are they sincere about green hydrogen? Are they considering it a fad? So it's a great learning experience.
So, what are the top two or three things that you have gathered so far out of both this chatter and the large announcements, etc., summed up together over the past, let's say, 2 or 3 days? How would
So
you sum it up?
So I would sum it up saying three Ds,
Okay.
which is deglobalization is now like an accepted norm. Like you talk to even the political leadership from many countries, oil and gas company, they get the early signs quickly. So deglobalization is the new trend, and second trend I am seeing is decarbonization with fear of Trump, and third
Okay.
trend I saw here was digitization
Okay.
on every aspect. So AI becoming artificial general intelligence, that's freaking many people out. If you are not digitally adopting everything in your company, what will be your future existence? So I see that lot of discussion, if I have to sum up, has been around these three topics.
Okay. Okay. Because you mentioned Trump, right? There is a larger energy connotation to the new presidency in US. And I want to understand from you, as a leader of the energy industry, how do you look at the kind of changes that might come across solar, across oil, across different, I mean the entire energy spectrum. What changes essentially with Trump being there? There's a lot of impact, I'm sure, that's going to be on tariff side. Does that impact us? In what ways? We also have India also has this ambition of becoming a global supply chain hub for solar, for example, right? Or generally in manufacturing. How will all of that change now?
So I think the way to look at is that the technologies which are commercially viable, those technologies are going to excel.
Okay.
And so if you look at in the terms of levelized cost of electricity, today the solar, wind, battery storage has become the most competitive form of energy. So from whatever I know of Trump, he is a pure play, prudent commercial guy as well. So if your electron from green energy is going to be the cheapest form of energy, he's going to love it because he wants to make America great again, and the cheapest source is going to be green. He won't have an issue. And like I said before, that deglobalization is the new norm. Like our country also wants to actually become self-reliant because we don't want to be dependent on other countries for our supply chain. And there's no harm in that strategy. If America is thinking around that line, the challenge is that even when we were considering to invest in America in manufacturing, there is a huge challenge on manpower. Like if I have to hire 1,000 people, it will probably take 3 to 4 years to get those manpower. So I don't think uh, there would be a very big adverse impact. But I think what happens is when someone talks repetitively about it, many times board decision gets slowed down, and those interim impact would be there. But long term, I think green energy is the way to live. Uh, it is important for nature as well, and everyone understands, whether it's any age group, people want to live responsibly with the nature. When you come to Delhi, you experience it much more, because when you go to people's houses, actually they are using even now air purifier to live in the houses, and that's not the world we want to be. We want to live in a saner, more environmentally friendly world, and I think that's what even most of the people in US are thinking.
Okay. Meaning there is a view that it's fast gaining ground that uh, you know India is picking up when it comes to setting up the local supply chain for renewables also, right? We are setting up our manufacturing facilities very fast, right? For example, the way our local domestic manufacturing base has expanded. I'm only talking about renewables, right? In the past few years, it's very good. Now, I want to understand from you, how do you look at this entire development? What is fueling this, and what could go wrong?
See,
I mean, of course, there's no comparison. I mean, we can't compete with China, etc. I'm not getting into that debate. But what should we do? What are the top two or three things that we should do right in order to get it, continue to be on that path?
see, I think uh, there is no denial of the fact that world is looking at many sources to supply the equipments. There is an acute shortage of transformer in the US. There are many electrical components which are in short supply globally. So, world needs many countries to emerge and fulfill that supply chain gap. So, if you look at from Avaada's perspective, we think Indian government has been quite proactive to promote local manufacturing in India. There are various states which are very active in providing the industrial township, grid access to everything which is needed to make it successful. I think the need is that the biggest challenge today in India is still it takes a lot of time to get permits, a lot of time to get the land, get the grid access, and then on top of that, our manpower coming out from ITI, degree college, diploma institute, and engineering college are not ready resource for them to work directly onto the shop floor, and you have to invest 6 to 12 months actually to make them ready. And in many of these technology aspects, we are not trained yet. So we are learning as we go, and the ramp up has been quite steep. So we are making mistakes as well. But the good aspect is that human potential here is amazing. We set up a large setup here in Greater Noida. It became operational in a very short span of time. It's already making big supply to our own plants. We are setting up a large unit. When we started, we announced 3 gigawatt cell and module. We are actually doing 6 gigawatt. The buildings are getting ready. The substation is getting ready. The water supply we have got. Effluent treatment plant is getting ready. So I think the potential is amazing. We have to keep our sight on quality, consistency, and build at the global scale. Because if we keep doing smaller size manufacturing, we can't compete globally. And the biggest thing where I think we have to change our mindset is towards R&D and stop depending on government for everything. Like, I go to many meetings where people expect that government will do R&D for them. That's not fair ask, or many times they keep asking for too many grants. I think every company has to build their own IP. They have to start setting up large infrastructure. And fortunately, we have very high-end engineer, PhDs, and it's not that difficult. So I think we are doing many things right, many things we have to do right, but the opportunity is great. I don't see uh, any chance of it slowing down. I think it's going to improve only.
Okay. Vineet, give me a bird's eye view of where Avaada stands today in terms of capacity, products, geography, etc. Bird's eye view, but brief view. And also, how do you plan to, what is the next stage of growth for Avaada? Right, we are present across many segments. but then it's a lot of growth also, right? If you're going to focus on all of them together, it's going to be a lot of growth in a short period of time. So how do you what is the larger strategy for future?
So Avaada's strategy is to align with the strategy of Indian government.
Okay.
So Indian government is looking for Atmanirbhar Bharat, both in manufacturing and in terms of energy, and they want the energy to be green. So our vision is we want to be a sand to molecule company eventually. So what we will do is we will convert sand into silicon, silicon into ingots, ingots into wafer, wafer into cell, cell into modules, and then use electron from wind power, use electron from pumped storage, from battery, and supply round the clock green electron and to the grid, and then use the same green electron to split the water into green molecules.
Okay.
So that's the larger vision. We currently have 5.1 gigawatt of operating projects. We currently have more than 10,000 megawatt of solar and wind project under operation, under construction. We have two pumped storage projects under development. We have several battery projects under development. We have two manufacturing location which is going to, one of them is operational already. The second one will be operational by June. So the way we are looking at is we are staging some of these. We currently have tied up grid connectivity, land, etc. till 2031. We don't look it as a milestone based theory. We consider it as a journey that with India's growth story will be incomplete without green energy, and we have to provide affordable green power round the clock like conventional power for India to succeed. So, and we are quite happy with the progress so far, and we are getting very good
Okay.
support from the policy making.
What is the capacity we are targeting? Let's say
So we are targeting 30,000 megawatt by 2030,
okay.
and then almost 50 gigawatt by 2035, and
And this will be a mix of solar, wind, storage.
solar, wind, pumped storage, batteries. We have won several projects already.
Okay.
So we are fairly confident. The only, probably if you ask me, the biggest challenge country is facing is that now because we are ramping up so fast, government has to take transmission line on HVDC.
Okay.
And there are limited suppliers on HVDC transmission lines. So it's taking 4 to 5 years for them to commission those transmission line. But if you keep changing your states, you will be able to do large capacity in India.
Meaning, isn't lack of availability of critical minerals also a problem for us, right? Because we don't have a huge resource, critical resource base, and when it comes to acquisitions outside India, right? We haven't really moved ahead or moved faster there. Isn't that going to be? Don't you visualize that to be a problem going forward?
See,
in terms of ramping up local
I
manufacturing
actually
base.
look at problem as an opportunity.
Okay.
From my perspective, problem is opportunity for India. Like we don't have so many lithium iron mines. India started building pumped storage. So we have now long duration energy storage, which is based purely on the nature. You can use solar to lift the water up and use the water to generate electricity and store the electricity. So you will find the solution. So I think we have limited capital and we have to use that capital prudently. So it's not possible for any country like ours, which is growing so rapidly, and still we have many people who are at the bottom of the pyramid and they have to be brought up. So expecting that government will be able to strike all the balance by 100 by 100, it's not feasible. Even when we run 5,000 people or 10,000 people company, we make mistake almost daily. So it's a human process of evolving and growing. I think critical minerals are very, very important. India is tapping on to its own resources and going to develop it. Maybe it will be slightly expensive than many other countries. But India has now policy framework and task force which is working on it. I think we are going to innovate and find new technologies also. which will help India. And I'm seeing that if India has to become Viksit Bharat, we have to look at the future of energy, the future of technology, and start investing into those aspects as well.
Okay. Okay. See, even one other thing that I want to talk to you about is, battery prices, battery storage prices have come down, right? And there has been a declining trend there. Similarly, if you look at solar module prices, there is again a declining trend. So all of that is creating a very favorable atmosphere, a very favorable environment for companies like yours to work in. But in the long run, right, these things are very volatile, right? It may not be a declining trend all the time. So how do you hedge growth to that extent?
When you are in a business, that means you have learned to manage uncertainties.
Okay.
So whatever you can control, you will be able to control. So I don't bother about it. And what is beyond my control, there's no point thinking about it. So what our philosophy is very, very clear. Our near-term goal is very clear. Probably we are the only business which can forecast how much gigawatt will be in 2031, and probably will be 90% to 110% there, because India is growing so rapidly. Even at 6.5% growth, we are going to need huge amount of power, and to support that power, you need people and company like us which can implement in a time bound fashion. So there are going to be challenges. I think the cost curve is going to plateau out, because at some point of time the innovation in the current technology becomes static and new technology starts taking the space, and it's good for the world, it's good for the country, because eventually we want every citizen to get the affordable green power whenever they want.
Okay. You talked about a target of 30,000 megawatt by 2030, you are saying, right? Now that's a huge growth, right? And I think we're talking about 20,000 additional, within a very short period of time.
Correct. So what we have done, so I'll give you an example. When I think your colleague asked me this question in 2015, we were the first company which did 1 gigawatt. And he said, what's next? And then we monetized those 1.25 gigawatt. So in 5 years, I did 5 times what I had done in first 6 years. And now what I have done in the last 7 years, I'll start doing the same capacity every year. Because what's happening is, with technology evolving so much, you can actually do it. And now the scale is different. Earlier we had very limited companies which were doing. Now the people are coming out of different industry universities which are joining our sector. So the biggest challenge was human resources, which has become now the strength of a company like ours. And on top of that, Government of India has a tender trajectory till 2030 very clearly laid out. They are bringing out tender quarter by quarter as per the trajectory. Yeah, okay. And the states are also bringing out the tender. Mind you, Gujarat and Maharashtra, they have their own tendering agencies which are actually brought tender. Like Maharashtra came out with tender of more than 25 gigawatt in the last 1 year alone. So if you add that, it's a great opportunity. I think now our focus for next 5 years is execution, execution, and execution.
What kind of investment will go into this setting up this additional 20,000 megawatt over the next few years?
It's going to be a massive investment. We are prepared for that. It's going to be more than 1 lakh crore rupees into those projects, and
in the next 5 to 6 years, right?
Our starting point is ISTS access, interstate transmission system.
Okay.
So it could happen even faster.
Okay. If that is available on time.
So like in one of the state, we are getting in 26, 27. So we are setting up very large capacity in that particular state. Then we are also bidding for a lot of the state level project where I don't need ISTS network. I can do it with the state grid.
Okay.
And then some states also have a problem that state grid is not ready for next 2 years.
Yeah.
After they have awarded the large project to us, now they are awarding the switchyard, etc. So there are some teething problems.
Land is an equally big problem, I'm sure.
See, land, if you work with the society and you go to the wasteland, it's not such a big issue as it is made out to be. So if you go to Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, MP, there are many areas where like it's people don't even go in those areas because it's not like even accessible sometimes. So you have to just make it accessible. Go to the wasteland. It's not needed to go to any fertile land because we need so much of agri growth as well. And now one thing which I'm very proud of, Avaada is doing almost 1200 megawatt of agrivoltaic. So in the agrivoltaic sector, what is happening? Farmers used to get power from middle of night to 5 in the morning. Now I'm able to provide them during the sun hours, and that has changed their life. They are loving it, and it's actually also solving state's problem, because the state was earlier buying expensive power to give that power to farmers and then subsidizing it. And on top of that, the other challenge was that it was a grey power. So now we are able to provide the green power in the daytime to the farmer. Farmers are happy, state is happy, their subsidy quantum is reducing to almost half.
Okay.
And that's a win-win situation companies like us are creating as well.
So when you have to, I mean, you're talking about 1 lakh crore kind of investment over the next 5 to 6 years by 2030, right? Where will that money come from? What part of it will be sourced? In what form? From where? Are you already in touch with investors or entities you can borrow from? If you can give us some sense of that.
So actually, money has never been a constraint. If you have a fairly de-risked portfolio, money just follows the de-risked portfolio. So our approach has been that we raised a lot of capital when we didn't even need. We said let's raise a larger round of 10,000 crore plus, and now all our businesses are profit making as well, and we are not taking any dividend. Our shareholders know that they are not going to get any dividend till 2030. We are deploying 100% of money into that. And the second thing is happening when our projects are operating to the designed efficiency and doing better than what we had forecasted for. Our ratings are improving. We have projects which are AAA. Our borrowing cost, like 2 years back, we borrowed almost at the treasury rate, 6.75. And in those projects, the funny aspect was that we were borrowing at 6.75 in the bond market and getting the interest rate of 7 plus on our deposits. So I think once you build a credible track record, debt is not an issue, equity is not an issue. And what we have seen, most of our project debt is there is an oversubscription of 2 to 3 times, and we are able to choose our lender. Earlier, we didn't used to get a lot of foreign banks coming and partnering with us. Now, almost every foreign bank which is present in India is investing into the green sector. They are providing debt, they are providing hybrid project, and equity we are deploying from our own sources because we have raised a lot of capital already.
Okay. One last thing that if I can ask you, Vineet, apart from solar, wind, battery, PSP, etc., what next? What in terms of diversification? I mean, what is the future of Avaada? Anything do you see getting added to this portfolio in terms of technology?
Not really. I think our hands is full for next decade. I would say we are because of nowadays very much certainty of ISTS network. Government is bidding out 3 to 4 years in advance, so you can have visibility on your business plan well in advance. So we enjoy this. This is our passion. We find purpose that we are using divinity in the form of sun, wind, and water, which we worship in India, and we are using that into our livelihood. Okay. So for us, it gives us double benefit: people, planet, and profit all together.
Okay. With those words, Vineet, I think that brings us to an end of this conversation. Thank you for your time, and we really look forward to hosting you again. Pleasure.
Thank you.